Okay, Manny, are you ready? All right. I want to thank everybody for coming again tonight to the last of the meetings that we're going to be having as a group relating to the tobacco retail licensing ordinance that is being proposed. The next step after this meeting will be a meeting including the city council. I wanted to let you all know we do have interpreters here again this evening. Can the interpreters in the back sides of the room raise their hands so that they can be seen? And can the Punjabi interpreter come up, please, so that he can explain that he is the interpreter for that particular language, so that those here who need that interpretation understand? You go back to him. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't listen. Okay. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੇਟਰ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਦੇਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਸੈੱਟ ਲੈ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ
Thank you. If anyone else needs translation in a different language than Punjabi, we do have other translators here this evening, so please speak up if you do, or just come up and ask one of us, and we'll be happy to direct you to the translation and the possibility for receiving the headphones that will let you to talk with the translator. Guys, your mic's on back there. Manny, your mic was on back there. Oh, sorry. It's okay. Anyway, you will see that in the back of this room, we have 6 tables set up, and chairs around those tables. What we are going to be doing this evening is we are going to be presenting the 4 sort of major points that we've talked about at pretty much every meeting we've had on this topic. And what we're going to ask you all to do is go to a table. Each table has one of the attorneys from my office sitting at it to assist you with this, I'm going to call it exercise. The point of these breakout groups at the table are for you to talk to one another, discuss the topic at hand, and we'll call out the topics, and discuss the varying interests about that topic, because there are varying interests. As we all know, we have retailers who have specific interests and concerns. We have citizens who have other interests and concerns. So we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to hear each other. Again, don't feel like you're being targeted for anything here. It's just an opportunity for community to talk to community. The purpose of that is to see if you can come up with some ideas that bridge the gaps that the concerns cover, because there will be gaps in these concerns, as we've heard previously. All ideas for bridging gaps are welcome. That is really the purpose of this meeting, to see how close we can get to bridging the gaps of interest between the differing groups that have different interests. After you talk about each topic for about 15 minutes, we'll ask that a spokesperson from your group, and it can be our attorney with the spokesperson from each table, come up and share with the broader group, our table talked about this, and we came up with these 2 ideas for gap bridging. We'll be keeping track of those, and we'll be wandering around the room as well, so if you have questions and want to draw us into one of the conversations, that's okay too. After we go through each of the topics, if we have time left over at the end, then we'll try to have sort of an overall discussion. If your question and or concern does not fit into one of the topics that have already been brought up multiple times, don't fail to bring it up. You can share it at your table after the last topic, and you can also, when we come back together as a larger group, bring it up at that time, because we want to be sure that we capture all of the concerns, even if there aren't repeat concerns. But again, the purpose of this meeting is to try to bridge our gaps so that when we go before the city council and ask them, all right, give us direction, and talk to them about options for gap bridging or talk to them about options for the ordinance as a whole, that we aren't, presenting one side or another and saying, all right, now you just go figure it out, council. The goal for us would be for you all as a community, and for us to assist you all as a community to bridge those gaps to the maximum extent we can. Maybe they're not all bridgeable. Maybe they are. But that's the goal for today, is to make a actual, genuine attempt at doing that. When you come up to speak or when you speak at your table, you're not obligated to give your name or who or what you represent. You can if you want to, but there's been concerns expressed about that before, so feel free to not. Our last meeting, as well as this meeting, are all published on our website under agendas, right? Okay. So Manny has put the presentation up. And under agendas, you can, if you know someone who missed any of these meetings and you think they would learn from them or would like to receive the information given out at that meeting, that information is available online and they can watch the meeting as if they were here. Obviously, they can't ask real-time questions, but... And also, at that same spot is a copy of the proposed ordinance in both English and Punjabi. Those also exist at your tables, as well as a PowerPoint presentation that's it's on paper. I'm not going to give the presentation this evening, but it talks about the major provisions of the proposed ordinance and gives you just sort of, I would call it more of an outline or overview. You're welcome to take those with you, and that is also will be online as well. So to the extent that you wanted to print it from online, you could do that and have your own copy. There's about, I think, 8 copies of each of those documents at each of the tables. Okay, with that, Manny, I don't have a clicker. You've got me, okay. All right, so here are the generalized 4 topics that we've heard from our multiple meetings. Concerns about transferability of the tobacco retail licenses. Concerns about minimum pack sizing and minimum pricing. Concerns about the density, the cap on tobacco licenses. And concerns from more than one perspective on the penalties and enforcement. So we're going to start this evening with the transferability concern. So when you go to the back to your tables, I ask that you try to mix it up a little bit. Don't just sit with your friends and like-minded individuals. The purpose of this exercise is to sit with people you don't know who may have differing views and have an honest and open discussion about your points of interest. Look around, and if you see a bunch of faces that you don't recognize and you don't know, grab a seat with them, because that's the purpose of what we're doing today, is to bring us together. So how this is going to work is you're going to spend about 15 minutes talking at the table, and then about 15 minutes talking about what you talked about at the table for the larger group. And, you can see where that will take us with 6 tables, and that'll probably take us pretty close to the end. But we're happy to, if we run over just a little bit while Manny's packing up, we can stay and answer some questions and have some additional discussion. There's also, of course, the opportunity for you to reach out on email and to us if you have additional questions after this meeting. The current intent, and I say current intent, so you can't hold me exactly to it, you'll get a notice, but is that we will go back to the City Council at the 2nd meeting in September to discuss what we will have discussed tonight and receive input and direction from the council. And then we will take that, formulate that to the extent we need to into amendments to the draft ordinance, and then we will bring that will be what we will bring forward for hearing. So with that, transferability is your first charge. Please go find a spot at the back of the table. We'll wander around with you. I wish you all really good luck and make us all proud. need that?
I don't know if you need it. Thank you. Thank you. That will do the 15-minute discussion time limit for transferability. Gonna.
They're still talking. I got one.
Oh, you got one? Okay, cool.
Okay, everybody, are we ready to come back together to talk about this issue as a whole, or do you need a couple more minutes? Couple more minutes. Okay, let's give it 3 more minutes to wrap up in your groups. Okay. It's going to be harder to get them to stop talking than it was to get them to talk. All right. Any table want to go first? Who wants to go first? Which table wants to go first and discuss what you've talked about at your table? All right, I'm going to volunteer you if you don't volunteer yourselves. You want your table? All right. Okay, so Cole's table is going to go first. This is Cole, everybody. And Cole works in my office. He's one of the attorneys in our office. And apparently this table is ready to talk about transferability. So I'm going to hand Cole the mic, and you all tell us kind of what you discussed as your interest and if you had any ideas for coming together.
Hi there. So at our table, I talked about, we talked about transferability. One of the things that I suggested is that if we are talking to the retailers who are compliant and not selling to minors, that one of the penalties be that they are willing to forego the transferability if they are caught even one time selling to minors. So if we are all the good guys here, then I don't see why that can't be on the table.
Yeah, so my argument is that like all the retailers here, they've been doing business for many, many, many years. I've been here for 34 years and working hard for so many hours, 12 hours a day, which we all heard that. We should be able to transfer the license so we get our value of the business. And then if we get caught or different guy get caught, eventually the number of license will go away anyway. So don't do initially non-transferable. At least transfer it so people they are being working for so many years, they can easily retire and pass into your family or sell their business, they get their goodwill. And then eventually, like you're trying to get 51 license, it will happen, it will take a few years. And that's fair for everybody.
More discussion or more ideas at this table for coming together or other ways to address transferability that you all discussed? Next table, you guys get to go next. Okay, this is Nandan. She's also an attorney in my office, and she'll be leading this table's discussion.
Hi, everyone. We had a wonderful discussion, so,
A little closer, Nandan.
oh, hello, testing. Right, there we go. We had a wonderful discussion, and so I don't want to do it speaking, so.
Thank you, Nathan. So basically, we had the same similar conversation as you guys. The transferability is really important to us for our retirement, for our children, to be able to take over the business one day or us be able to sell. And the discussion here had happened, well, you know, if you're compliant, that you should be able to transfer, that's fine. But then if you're not compliant, and that's where it's really important, we need enforcement in the city. If there's not enforcement, then you can pass all the laws you want to, you know, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of where we came to, was like, sure, let us transfer, make sure, whatever, 500 feet, 1,000 feet, that affects somebody opening a new store, not ones that are existing, yeah. So that was about it, right here.
Can I ask a clarified question about that piece? I want everybody to be able to hear, so. And just to add a little extra to or ask a question about your idea. So you're saying anybody who has so start out with the concept everyone can transfer, or everyone who can get a license can transfer. So basically the existing retailers, because we're already over the 51 number. So any of the existings would be able to transfer, provided they're legally operating or were legally established. But after the first time you're caught, transferability is gone.
Well, I don't know about the first time. ABC has those regulations. I mean, we have microphone, you know, minimum.
Thank you, Manny.
Sorry. So I don't know about the first time. That's a discussion we need to have. ABC, liquor license, right? It's usually, I think, 3 tickets, you lose your license. No, first, there's a fine. Second, you're suspended. Third, you lose your license. It has to be something similar to that. We have a lot of employees that could possibly make a mistake one time and then you're gone. So there needs to be some type of reasonable penalty.
Hopefully you can hear me with my mask on. A part of that is, yes, we did have the similar discussion and understanding that if someone does happen to sell a flavored product and/or to a minor, that it's the first time. And as it was explained to me that with ABC, it's 3 times within a year, or or
3 years,
okay.
if you get 3 tickets, your license
Okay.
is gone.
And so a part of what I was saying is, if it's within that time period, but having maybe it within a 5-year period of time. But a part of also what I want to say is we definitely respect what the retailers are doing for the community, providing these services, providing, in the case of the gentleman over here where my boss had actually worked with him years ago, setting up the Healthy Source for Healthy Community. It's working, we want to try to work with all retailers as best we can. And a part of it is that I want to make sure too that one of the things I put across is that 1,000 feet, the feet of everybody is good now, you're grandfathered in, no new retailers can come in, but the 1,000 feet part from child serving and also from one another helps benefit everybody because we're looking at it from a health equity issue. And the health equity is really trying to reduce the chances of children from taking on this addictive product. We're not saying don't sell to people who are of age. We're selling, if they want to sell to them, that's fine. They want to buy it, let them have it. But it's trying to reduce the children from starting this habit. And so it's that 1,000 feet is still important. But everybody who is, as the attorney has already said, whoever has that ability to sell, who is legal, you're all good. And we would be good with that transferability as well. But it's also identifying, if it is that 3-strike rule, that it's a period of 3 or 5 years, whatever it may be. But then that's what we looked at also.
Thank you. Anybody else, or one more? Okay. Want to be mindful of our time too, but yeah, go ahead. It's on.
Hello, thank you everybody. First thing I let you know, I tell the gentleman, we are the first person in Solano County who did the healthy store in long time ago. So I put on the counter, move all canned cigarette, other stuff, add, and plus I try to provide healthy food like bananas, orange, and other thing for the kids. So on transfer issue, same thing I asking, which people working from long time, everybody is good, they're doing good. So they give us the opportunity, and if we doing mistakes like 3 times, then you can revoke the license. So ABC license before, and not issue any new license right now, check the population in Vallejo, then you need new one, but at least we have SB loan, lease agreement, lot of things. So I appreciate for understanding that. Thank you.
Okay, this is Hampton from our office as well, and he's one of our attorneys, and he has this table. So what did this table come up with?
So we had many of the exact same discussions, and a lot of it was focused on those who have built their business, who are ready or at the point where they're about to retire. And so there was a few thoughts that you wanted to share regarding that.
So we all had pretty much the same points. We all put our points out there. We didn't have enough time to go back and forth. But, we kind of made it a point that, with this whole ordinance, there's so many points in the ordinance. We negotiated on the whole ordinance already. It's just this transferability and one more issue. So we kind of came to also the same agreement that, if the business is non-compliant, they have a tax lien or whatever, they have they sell to minors, they sell sell to underage, there should be some type of system where, make their license not transferable. And there was some talk about give the retailers 3 years, 5 years, 10 years to transfer their license, but you can't really put a number on it. You can't force somebody to sell their business, And you know, if they even if they sell it once, the person who buys it, what if something happens to them? What if they get in a car accident or something happens to their life, and they can't pass it on to their kids? They can't. Their business is gone. Smoke shop, if they can't transfer their license, the business is dead already. So you're taking that whole business away. So what? You want-
I will add, so some of our health advocates also said that they would like to see this, as far as the penalties model, what ABC does related to alcohol as well.
Did you lose your?
Can you hear me? Yeah. I think our table had the same ideas, transfer after a number of years, attrition, you know, bad actors will lose their license naturally, and then, yeah, I think those were the two ideas. Does anyone want to briefly speak on those?
Hello. Yes, natural attrition in any industry, I think is the best way. I don't think there should be any, you know, rules on transferring your license. So people will come and go, businesses will go out of business, they'll lose leases. All kinds of things happen, natural attrition. We don't need to make laws to make that happen. We don't need to make a law about transferring it if you have citations or you've lost your license. Obviously, you can't transfer it because you don't have one, okay? So I think that that's just kind of a waste of time. You have more than 51, your goal is 51. As time goes on, you might get to 51. And I just wanted to ask, because I'm getting really confused, that this is for anybody selling tobacco products, including grocery stores, gas stations, everybody, because I only see really like liquor store owners and smoke shops, and I'm wondering if they're just being targeted, or what is this ordinance really for? It affects everyone?
It affects everyone, and at this point in time, if you are a pharmacy, the day after the ordinance becomes effective, you are banned from selling at all. No, it did not. That's part of this ordinance.
Did you want to speak briefly, or you got it? Okay. Next table.
My name's Jacob, and so pretty much we had the same conversation. I think that one thing I do want to stress is that, you know, these retailers have worked hard to grow their business. They are looking forward to transferring their business, either family members. They look forward to retiring without the ability to transfer their permits. They do stress the fact that their businesses lose value. So that is a big issue. As to proposals, one would be to just get rid of it outright, but if that's not a solution, you know, I think alternatives would be what has been already been discussed, that, you know, make sure that permits could be transferred over unless and until the new owners don't pass a criminal record or have something in their background that indicates that they will violate the laws, or the business owners have violated the laws previously to kind of bar transferring the permits. Anything else from the group that you guys would want to add?
Okay, thank you again for discussing that. And we really, the transfer should be automatic. If somebody is a criminal, check their record. If they are a criminal who's buying the business, do whatever you have to do. But if somebody is a clean, he does a business, he obeys the rules, everything is good, it should be transferred. Because you guys don't understand this. If somebody does not have I already explained to him, if somebody does not have a cigarette license, you got a mom and pop store, corner store, whatever you want to call it. And you sell butter, bread, milk, canned food, candy, chips, everything. People go to work in the morning, they get up, they come to your establishment, they buy, they smoke. We never ask them to smoke. They already smoke, okay? They are adult. So they buy a pack of cigarette.
and then they buy some other stuff. If we do not have that tobacco license, cigarette license, we will lose everything. They will go somewhere else, wherever you authorize to them to sell the cigarette. So it will hurt bad. Please, don't do that. Thank you.
Right. Oh, did I miss one? That was not intentional, folks at that table, honestly.
That's okay. We've actually covered a lot of the points that were brought up here. So one of the main points that was brought up was tying transferability to violations that occur after the fact, because as Jacob kind of put, people put a lot of work into this. They have an expectation that this work was going to lead to, something fruitful, and then this limitation would not only affect just the value of the business as it is, but also would limit the draw of the business, because a tobacco license is, how do I put this, kind of an invitation into the business that leads to a lot of other purchases. And so without that license and the ability to buy that license off someone, you lose a significant amount of the potential value in the business you're purchasing. So that's why they wanted it tied towards actual violations and not just a hard cap on transferability. Anybody have anything else to add? Nope. All right.
I feel like I need to introduce OnGod because everyone else got introduced. OnGod also works in my office as one of our attorneys. Okay, so let's move on to topic number 2. And topic number 2 is the combination of minimum pack sizing and minimum pricing for those pack sizes. So I think you all generally know what that concept is, but let's hear what the interests are and what the ideas are that's around that. And we're gonna go 15 minutes on this topic as well. Not unless people want to. It's fine. As people get to know each other in the groups. Okay, folks, we're going to call time on this topic. And you guys want to go first? Two more minutes. All right, you can have 2 more minutes. We're trying not to run over tonight, but 2 minutes. Okay, all right, that's time now, folks. Which table wants to go first? Volunteers. Oh, perfect.
Hello, yeah. My name is Paramdeep. So regarding the packaging thing, I have some points. First of all, the 10 pack, no company makes 10 pack. So they're not gonna make just for Vallejo City, especially for 10 packs. And secondly, most of the packages are pre-priced. Like you said, we can't sell less than $10. But if the package is saying $2 or 149, how can we overcharge? They're gonna break our window, you know. what are you overcharging us? Or they're gonna drive to Fairfield, Benicia, it's like, you know, it's not worth it to go driving there. And third thing is if we say buy 10 pack, so one guy gonna buy a 10 pack, stand in the parking lot, they're gonna sell singles to the minors or you know, it's easy for them. It's not gonna control this thing. So that's my thing.
Yeah, so the really main issue with our table is enforceability and kind of power, lack of agency from the retailers to really control what packaging comes with. And yeah, I think that's our main concern.
One more thing, there will be a lot of confusions, which we can sell, which not. I think we should bring some here with us next time to show which we can sell, which it's will be really confusion.
Did you have any discussions at your table about, other than just not having package sizings or minimums, a way to address this issue?
Really the issue was enforceability, and I think one solution was that for council to get a sense of what sort of packaging comes with so they can kind of craft a better size requirement. Because really, I think, again, it's just the packaging comes in 1, 2, 3. Like, how do these retailers package it in a way that's workable with this ordinance? And to do so, I think it's important, I say we think, that my table thinks it's important for council to better understand what kind of packaging they're working with to, again, craft an ordinance that's going to be workable for the retailers.
Now I'm going to ask somebody in this room to educate me. Caitlin wants to be the one to educate me. Okay, so this is what I want to be educated on, and maybe it helps other people or not, but it'll help me. Do you say things come in pre-packaged sizes? Does the tobacco, ABC, for lack of a better word, regulate? Are you allowed to break up the size it comes in? Is that a violation? Not prepackaged. So, I'm sorry. Can you say that for everybody to hear?
Not prepacked ones. The prepacked ones, you cannot open them and really sell them singly.
Okay. So if it comes in a pack of 3, you can't open it to make it 1. If it comes in a pack of 10, you can't sell it as 2. And what about if it comes in a pack of 6 and can you buy it in different package sizes, or is one packet? So you could buy it in a pack of 5 or 10. Okay. But it is potentially available in a prepackaged sale pack of. Okay, understood.
Segues kind of nicely into what we were talking about. So what I heard from my table is that the 20 cigarettes and $10 for a pack of cigarettes is not a problem. That's pretty much how they come anyway. That is not contentious. 20 cigarettes and a $10 pack of cigarettes, not an issue. It's the little Swisher Sweets, it's the cigarillos that only come in 2 packs. And so there was a lot of contention and strong opinions on both sides. We do had 2 productive suggestions. One was bundling them together, so you could take those 2 packs of Swisher Sweets and sell, a set of 10 as a bundle, and that's something we could write into the ordinance that you're allowed to do. Another thing is eliminating pre-priced products, and I'm going to hand the mic off to talk about those 2 things.
We had discussed the bundling. I think that's a possible suggestion. The only thing with it is it becomes almost a store-to-store, person-to-person, how they're doing the bundling, because like the attorney brought up, there's no already bundled to our size that we've put in here. So that becomes a little bit of an issue just in that. At the end of the day, if nothing else, that could be a suggestion. The getting rid of the pre-priced can be we brought that up, I personally did, for the little cigars, but like another retailer mentioned, because predominantly they're sold in a pre-priced segment, it becomes difficult for us to acquire them to be able to even sell them. But I believe it's doable. It'll cut out a lot of items. Personally speaking, I don't have much experience with those. We don't sell just that, but all a good suggestion. And then I think that was it, unless anybody else.
Do you want to speak to the bundling?
No, it's okay.
Yeah, And I also just, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
I want to dissuade the fact that, oh, we're going to put up a $10 minimum and the retailer is going to be making a lot more money. That is not very true at all. Most cartons or packs that we're selling cost anywhere from $9.50 to over $10 already. So if anything, you'll push folks in California to sell them for even more, just to be able to make the minimum margin that we're making right now. So there is no, oh, well, this $10 thing is going to be great for you guys because you're going to make more money. Not necessarily true.
Okay, Cole's table is next, and then I'll come over to you in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so we talked a lot about the same things. People are mostly okay with minimum cigarette packs of 20 for $10, but the concerns are over the little cigars. So do we have some people who would like to speak on that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so the principle from the public health side is that, any increases in price that happen are good because youth are deterred, and people who are low income, use tobacco products less. Like that is a good public health outcome from our perspective. Yeah, was said on cigarettes, there's agreement. When it comes to little cigars and large cigars and pack sizes, there was less agreement. We heard concern from retailers about whether it would make someone smoke more. Just for comparability, I would point out that Benicia already has a minimum pack size of 10 for little cigars. And then when it comes to large cigars, because the main goal here is to just raise prices and make folks think about, I guess, their spending on tobacco, with really any price pack combination that's in the neighborhood of what's already written, or, for example, Benicia's $30, it's really kind of a moot point to us, I think, yeah.
So we had very similar discussion and concern at this table, similar to everyone else, and I would like you guys to hear directly from them.
Hello, everyone. My concern about for the $10 pack. In my store, more than 40% of the sale is like a cheaper cigarette. It's really gonna help Marlboro, Newport, Camel, all the other company. Most of these people are from the liquor store, so it's not gonna affect them that badly, but it's gonna affect the smoke shops very badly, because 45% plus business is dependent on the like a cheaper brand, which is like Seneca, all those. So I really oppose that. Please help. Please don't do that. Thank you.
I'm coming to this as a parent, and also I do quit smoking classes for the city of Berkeley and around in the Bay Area. And one thing that I know there's some concern around, if you raise the prices, it's going to make it just make the habit worse, or and what I've seen from people who've come into our quit smoking classes, I've been doing it for over 6 years. When I asked what brought you in, what motivated you this time, because it takes several times for many people, oftentimes it's the prices are going up. It's so we know that the data I've seen and the people that I've talked to, it's something that really does motivate them to make another serious attempt. And I know that with every attempt, they get closer to quitting. And my thing is not just, it's overall health, of course, but I am very concerned about the health of young ones. I have 2 teens. I'm an uncle of many nieces and nephews who are in elementary school. Some of them are not even 1 year old yet. And I am concerned about them. I've lost family members to cancer, and I know the ugly side of it, and so that sticks with me, and that's why I'm passionate about trying to find a way to protect our kids and protect our community.
So we concerned about that. So I just telling them, because Vallejo still going more black market, we need more law enforcement, which we doing that way, because somebody buy 25 packs selling outside of a liquor store, how we stop it? So we buy for us like $25, even we put $25 pack. Then they selling $2 each. Who losing money? Consumer. And plus other way, I don't want any kids smoking myself. We need everybody give a little bit education to kids. They no need to start smoking. And people already over 30, 40, they're smoking, and even 60. They have other cigarettes. Tobacco is already 2, 3 times expensive than last 2, 3 years. You already expensive. People cannot afford it because we need to other side too. A lot of people have limited source of income like EBTs, social security, disability. So they have habit, but they have limited source of income too. So that way, I just think that can be discussed what.
I just have a quick, sorry. Yes, very quick. I have a quick discussion while we are talking about it. The more pricing, the more robberies happen. You also have to understand that the prices and the cigarettes that have raised the prices are encouraging robbers to come in to get those items. So also remember that the prices are tagged and they are a honey to a lot of crime.
Thank you.
A couple of the concerns that were raised at this table was of the entirety of this ordinance being 16 pages. There are two main issues that the retailers, one was this issue related to the pack sizes specifically for the cigars, and then the other issue was what we had already discussed related to the transferability. But I'm gonna let somebody speak specifically to the pack size of the cigars.
Hello everyone, thank you. So on my point of view, I am agree with the first one, like $10 for package of 20 cigarettes, which is fine. But the another concern about the 10 pack of cigars, it will increase black market in the area. One guy will buy the whole pack and will sell to the individuals. And I work every day at my store, and lot of customers come over there, they want to quit. So they said, Preet, I want to quit, so I just buy one cigar. How can we compel someone to buy 10 cigars if he wants to quit? After all, we all together here to like less smoking in the area. So my main concern, the guy who wants to quit, how can we compel him to buy a 10 pack of cigar? And you can easily, like in every news you can see, like if there is a robbery in the store, they just go to the cigarettes because it's easy and sell outside is easy to sell. So these are my two concerns.
So basically, we had the same points. We agree with almost all of the things in here, like the advertisement. You know, the big tobacco. They're the ones who come in the stores and put the advertisement, and they put the they give us the coupons and they put the 2 for whatever the deal they put. So we can throw those all in the garbage. We don't need those. That's all from the big tobacco coming for their profit. So we're 100% on board with that one. And the only issue we had is for the 10-pack cigars. So for the 10-pack minimum for cigars, you know, we hear a lot of statistics, but who knows more than the retailers? We know what's happening, you know, in the store, in the parking lot. We know more than any statistic. We know where the stuff is going. So we know what's happening. People they buy the 10-pack, they buy the 5-pack, they give the single to their family members. That's what's actually happening. So we're on board with it if it actually solved the issue. It doesn't solve the issue, so you know we don't agree with that point. And we have customers, they come in to buy the single cigar. They come in, they say, I'm gonna buy this single cigar. If I come back this week to buy it, then kick me out of the store. I'm not gonna buy another one. Because they wanna quit slowly. You can't quit cold turkey. So we don't sell it to them again. They have this, if they buy the 5-pack, they're gonna smoke the whole 5-pack in one day. So another issue, how are we going, with the black market, how are we gonna regulate this? Today we had somebody ran into our store with a car. He was drunk driving. So when the police came, they say they don't understand what she's saying. She's drunk. They take her to the hospital, and we say, okay, she's going to be in jail. They said, no, we're not going to test her or anything. We don't have the resources. So if they don't have the resources, the police don't have the resources, how are we going to regulate this? How can we regulate who's selling a cigar? If a company, the city comes in to check it, they're going to check behind the counter. People hiding it in the boxes, they're still going to sell it. You know, how can they regulate all this? So it's gonna have the opposite effect. So out of this whole ordinance, it's a 60, I don't know how many pages, just these 2 points we have for the two pack cigar, the 10-pack cigar minimum, that should not be in there, and the transferability, so I think that's pretty reasonable. Out of all these ordinances, we agree with almost all of it.
So some people weren't here last time, and we'll move on to On God, but I'll answer that last question while I'm walking over here. And that is that this ordinance, because we're not looking to enforce criminal regulations, will not be enforced by the police department. So the issues of resourcing within the police department are not intended to attach or this ordinance. It will be our code enforcement division, and it is an ordinance that we can enforce by contract, meaning we can hire a firm or company that does this type of investigation and enforcement to help us enforce this ordinance. Really close on time, and I want to make sure we get to all of the issues.
Thank you. The kids mostly they not attract to the cheaper price brand like Seneca or another LD. You will never see any kids smoking those brands. Those are like $6, $5 kids always attracted to big brands like Newport or Marlboro. They already over than $11 plus. So please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm not going to sort of call into question some of these studies that have been mentioned because I can't speak on that, but the public health perspective was that the Surgeon General recommended that the $10 price helps curb smoking among lower income people as it makes it less accessible, and it's also effective at keeping the youth from developing addictive tendencies. Now we considered those 2 points and then asked for the perspectives and how the retailers thought would these things be effective in addressing these 2 things, and they felt that it would be ineffective when it comes to limiting low-income individuals from smoking. They figured people would be more inclined to forego other purchases in order to purchase cigarettes. And, and then another big topic that was mentioned was the swishers or the cigarillos, the small cigarettes, and how those are already prepackaged and pre-priced, and how that wasn't properly sort of considered in here. And then that people would just leave town to make these purchases. If we raise the prices, prices of everything is already going up. So if I have to spend $10 to buy something at this store, but I can just drive a mile over there and buy it, then I won't drive the mile. And then just to step back to the limitation or helping limit the youth from developing addictive tendencies, we heard some anecdotes about how oftentimes most of these times when people are getting cigarettes or minors are getting cigarettes, it's just an individual going in, buying it, and then selling it outside the store or selling it down the street, and there's no real way to enforce against that. And had in the past when they had called the police, when they've seen this, nothing is done. So.
Hello. Yeah, I would just like to add that the 10-pack thing, I feel, and we all here feel that that incentivizes more use. And I was in a school setting not too long ago, and I witnessed a lot of this distribution. There wasn't at the time much enforcement of it. We would love for there to be more educational programs to dissuade people from doing these things. That's fantastic. But if there is no real enforcement of it, like if people are distributing this stuff right outside the store and no one's doing anything, I think the 10-pack thing is more detrimental because people will come in and buy a 10-pack and distribute 10. That'll funnel its way into a school one way or another. I think if you keep it at singles, again, like they were saying, people are trying to quit, people are trying to smoke maybe one a week. If they buy 10 at a time, there is like an incentive to smoke all 10 because they're sitting there right in front of you. So.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic. And the next topic is the density, the cap on the number of tobacco retail licenses. I think this topic will probably go fairly quickly because it's only come up a couple of times, but I'll let you all have some discussion time on the topic of density. If you get done before let's call this one 10 minutes. All right. So we thought this was a pretty short issue, right? So who wants to go first on this issue? Which table wants to go first on this issue? Okay. And I'm going to ask, so somebody, a non-participant suggested to me that I do a little explanation here. If we're separating transferability from this issue, and we're just talking about the density cap, for the purposes of this conversation, I should have started out by saying, assume the license is transferable, but there's still a cap on new licenses. So now comment only on the cap, the density cap, without commenting about transferability. Okay, go ahead.
It was a pretty short discussion. Again, I'm going to let you guys hear it from them. Spokesperson.
We're good.
Yeah, we're same good. We have nothing issue in that.
Thank you. I really like the way what the city doing for the kids. I have one more suggestion for you guys. If this ordinance pass, anybody who come to get a license, I want to have that person to get his landlord permission that he gonna sell the cigarette, because I have my own properties. People been selling like a lot of stuff there, but I can't do nothing because they have a lease. So please tell them to get the landlord permission before they sell the cigarettes. That's gonna help you, like a lot of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. So one topic that came up was that there needs to be enforcement. We keep talking about this over and over, but maybe one basic thing we could do is have a hotline. A lot of us retailers know what other retailers are doing, what's going on in the city. So if that could be a part of this, where we put a hotline together, anonymous hotline, and you guys can, be able to monitor those stores even more. So.
I just want to comment is that the city need to ask the landlord's permission. I don't think the city need to. They just need to go by the zoning, and then the landlord should ask the renters if they're selling cigarettes or whatever. He have the right to decline it on his lease. The city shouldn't have to do anything with that. They just go by the lease.
Well, it won't be relevant for a while, right? Because either you are currently operating legally, and therefore you're grandfathered, or you're not, and we're way over the 51 number. But right now, as part of this licensing, there are some zoning regulations as well, and everyone will have to have a use permit. You know what that is, right? A use permit. All alcohol has to have a use permit now. Everyone will have to have a use permit in order to sell tobacco-related products. Now, not you guys, because you already are doing that, you're grandfathered, but new sellers, and the landlord has to sign off on your use permit application. So we'll get there eventually, but we're not there now.
Yes, so we didn't have that many comments on this since everyone's grandfathered, but from the health advocacy perspective, we had a few additional points.
Yes, so from my perspective, I'll try not to talk about transferability, but I would like, having worked on the tobacco retail license and the previous smoke-free multi-unit housing ordinance that passed unanimously a couple years ago, I'd like to still be alive by the time that we get down to the density requirement, and so it is my goal to have this done in a reasonable amount of time. I don't know if I trust the attrition. Someone mentioned that who better than the retailers to tell us what's ending up with these products? Well, I'll tell you who better. The health advocates who have empirical evidence that shows that the higher prices do discourage people from becoming addicted to this. So just want to put that point out there. But the density is very important because we do have food deserts here, and we have intersections here in Vallejo, and they tend to be in the demographically disadvantaged, poor neighborhoods where you have an intersection with every four corner you could extend your hand and find tobacco products, but you won't find any fresh fruit. So density is important for that purpose. Thanks.
And just for us, I think really our discussion was transferability, so I'm not sure how much more I could add, but I think we do just want to highlight 2,500 seems like an arbitrary number, so maybe either increase or decrease that, or maybe tie into the study as to why we're picking 2,500. Another solution that my table thought of is that if the purpose of this density is to reduce the 51 permits, just don't issue new permits and just have it just kind of weed itself out in terms of going back to if they violate the ordinance, they lose a permit, or if they can't transfer it because of the transferability issue, then weed itself out that way rather than having a density limit to it.
We weed down to the density limit through either attrition or violations. Caitlin, you're up.
Right, so similarly, our thinking was if the transferability is possible, then don't so much care about the density, as long as it's transferable and that's reasonably fair. Did anyone want to speak on that?
Okay. I would just like somebody to explain section H.
That offline because we really need to move on, but I'll come back to you and explain it to you. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the last of our topics, which are penalties and enforcement. And let's see, we have about, well, theoretically 12, 13 minutes left. So let's go 10 minutes on this topic per table. If your table's done before 10 minutes, raise your hand and let us know. Really, the question here surrounds, you know, I'll call it the 3-strike rule, if you want to call it that. The penalties that are being proposed for fines and or other types of regulations. We know that most people are concerned about the penalties of suspension of the ability to sell. And then there was some discussion already about tying that to transferability. I don't think we need to go back there again. I think we got that. That was an interesting concept and one we need to look at more. But in terms of enforcement as well, there have been some other discussions about enforcing against the individual who commits the violation, and whether that's proper or improper or should be discouraged. So have at it, and we'll go, you know, maybe 7 or 8 minutes so we have time to come back and discuss this issue. Okay, folks, it looks like every table is ready to wrap up, and we're going to end close to on time. So I'm going to let Jacob here go first.
I've been hogging the mic, so I will give the mic over to my table mate.
Okay. Well, I'm inclined. I'm in this business, and I would say consider following the laws of ABC. You get a notice the first time, all right? You get a fine the second time, and the third time they take your license. That's a more reasonable way. Thank you.
And one thing I do want to highlight is that consensus of our table is the suspension at the first go is quite harsh. So I think that's something council should kind of take mind of.
So Veronica, our table was very similar. ABC, that's something that retailers are used to, they understand. It's that 3 strikes. The suggestion was a fine the first time, a suspension the second time, and then you lose your license the third time. Did anyone want to? Are you wanting to speak on that? Oh, well, let's do that.
Cole's next. Our table had a similar conversation. There were some proponents of the ABC model, and there were some people who wanted the model as currently proposed in the draft legislation. Would anyone at the table like to share their thoughts on that?
Yes, the reason why I am opposed to the ABC model is because tobacco is not alcohol. And these violations were found in other jurisdictions to actually improve compliance of tobacco retailers if they knew that they would not be allowed to sell for any period of time if they're found in violation. So once again, if the retailers who are here are not selling to youth, you needn't worry about having your license even temporarily suspended. This is a sample ordinance that came from I see people shaking their heads, but this is a sample ordinance that came from a California Public Health Law Center. It wasn't just invented, and it wasn't just invented for Vallejo. The other reason why I want to point out that alcohol is not tobacco is because when tobacco is used as intended, it kills people, okay? So that is the reason why we have different rules from ABC. Are people going to deny that? I see people shaking their heads. Right. Is it intended to kill? Is it intended to kill when used as directed? Okay.
Hello. I know we are all.
Hello? Can everyone listen? Please
we are
put your
all
listening
very
ears
serious and everything is very tense. On a lighter note, on the checking on the ID, when you guys hire the company, outsource it, make sure they don't bring the 25 years, 18-year-old looking like 25 years old.
Yeah, same thing we agree with, like ABC's law, same, follow that one, because a lot of people already know that law, the education for that. So first time the fine, second time little higher fine, third time you can walk the license. Everybody mostly agree with that.
All right, we're good. Thank you.
Pretty much what's been said. The structure of how people are suspended initially is what we discussed, and how we wanted some sort of warning or some fine for the first violation, just to take into consideration the human error that might occur. Oh, you want to add something? Sorry.
And then potentially having enforcement written into the policy.
Well, that one unfortunately is me, and that's universal to all ordinances. Go ahead.
Quickly, so our public health advocates were satisfied with the fine structure, but there were some thoughts shared by our vendors. So,
I just want to repeat one more time. I don't think any of us want any minors to get a hold of any tobacco products. We're strictly against that. I feel like I have to repeat that. And we like how the ABC does it, alcoholic beverage control. They do first time you get a fine, second time suspension, and third time you're revoked. So I think we agree with that. And another thing I want to bring up, I mentioned earlier, who knows the customer better than the retailer? I'm not denying any data. I'm just saying that, sometimes when you ban something and we say that people stop using it, we know they're still using it because you don't have data on people who are buying it from the parking lot. So we know what's going on more than, people who are in the higher up. We know what's going on the ground level. Thank you.
We just had one more point over here about fining individual employees.
No, it's just an idea. I mean, if you have an employee that actually is breaking the law, I think that they deserve a fine because you cannot control everybody. You hire people in good faith to do their job and follow the rules. So this might be something to hold them accountable, and for other, when they get fired, the next business down the road can check that and see, hey, we don't want you working here.
Yeah,
So
that
actually-
issue was not discussed at our, collectively at the group, so I'll
No,
respond to that.
understood. I was just going to say, but it is in the ordinance.
It is in the ordinance, but, it is an issue
Understood.
of equity when we're talking about low income. Maybe some of your employees are, minimum wage, it's really, the important thing is to recognize that the penalty needs to, go be that the business owners are the ones who are responsible, right? And that's what, the bottom line needs to be on the business owners, and that the clerks are really not the ones that should be penalized here. We need to recognize that the business is responsible for what their employees do. And that's how the model, that's the model license that this is not, does reflect that, and that's best practices.
Okay, so I think we got pretty far into what our goal was tonight. So if our goal tonight was have an open dialogue about this, I think we did at each of our tables. If our goal tonight was to bring people closer together, some things we did, some things we didn't. But we got some ideas on almost every topic, and maybe not all of them, and maybe not everybody agreed with the ideas, but we got some. That's, probably 80% of what we wanted to do tonight. So I want to thank everybody for their participation in that, and for, bringing that honesty and open conversation to your tables, and then to the bigger group, because I think that helps us to know what some of the options are carrying forward to the city council. We're supposed to be done at this point in time, but I did want to say that I appreciated some of the newer ideas that came forward this evening, because some of them are definitely, if not all of them, are definitely worth a look and exploration before we go back to the council and bring some of these ideas to them for options. I encourage you all to stay involved in the process. You'll get notices, and it will be on the city's website when it will be in front of the city council. As I said, I expect it to be the second meeting in September. I'm just not going to guarantee it. But that's what we're shooting for. So I hope to see you, we all hope to see you all there. And before we leave here tonight, I'd like to shout out to my staff for coming to assist with this process, because they all volunteered their time on super short notice. And I'm glad you all are with me and appreciating that of my staff. And secondarily, I'd like a shout out for Manny, our Mr. Manny extraordinaire, who not only works with us at every single city council meeting and planning commission meetings and other commission meetings, but he comes out into the community to help with things like this, and he is a member of our community. So thanks, Manny, for coming and helping with this on multiple nights. We really appreciate it. Okay, if you have any other questions, our contact information is on the website. You're welcome to reach out to us before we go back to the city council. And again, thank you for coming. You're welcome.